This is Charles Stockdill, and he's going to be our narrator, and I'm Connie Rufner. I'm the interviewer. So, Mr. Stockdill, thank you for your service. So when were you born?
July 23rd, 1927.
And how old were you when you were drafted?
18.
18. And you were drafted, well, you were drafted into the Marines, which was very unusual.
Yes.
So tell me, you were telling me about, you went down to Pittsburgh, so tell me what it was that happened.
Well, they had 150 men there, and the Marine Corps come in and said they had to have 50 men. Desperate, they were short of help, short of men. So they took 50 men, and I was among them. Mostly they tried to pick the bigger men. It's like, they looked like football players. They were that big, all over 6 foot. All but just 2 or 3 of us was small. They had to have 50 men, so that was it.
So how soon did you go to boot camp after that?
Oh, just a couple months. Oh, they took me right away, and they drafted me at 18, and I was, just a couple months later, I was in the Marine Corps. That quick.
That was fast.
Yeah, they needed men bad.
So where did you go?
Paris Island. But through there I went to Camp Lejeune. And then the war was over in Europe. It was all over with, and so they decided that they didn't want no draftees in the Marine Corps. So they come around with a paper and said, you have to sign it because we ain't allowed to keep you in the Marine Corps. I read it, and it was for 4 years, and I didn't want to stay in 4 years, so they discharged me.
And sent you right home?
Yeah.
So how long were you in altogether?
A year.
And what did you do?
Mostly cut me. Well, from Camp Lejeune, they sent me up to Washington, D.C. to 8th and I, a Marine barracks there. That was a guard battalion.
Uh-huh.
They guarded the Washington Monument and the Arlington Cemetery. But they needed a meat cutter in there they didn't have, the one they had died. So I was it. Because I was right out of their school too in Camp Lejeune, so I cut meat in there for the rest of my year. That's about all I have to say.
So how did you wind up being a meat cutter?
Well, my uncle had a general store over in North Buffalo Township, and things were hard back then and there, you know.
Yeah.
I was born in 27 and the Depression hit in the 30s, and so he took me in and started to learn me till I got drafted. Then the Marine Corps finished something, and then when I come back, I was working at Andy's Market when I left. And I come back to Andy's Market. I worked 25 years. He moved 3 different spots in Ford City. First I worked for him on Ford Street. And then I worked for him on 4th Avenue. Then he bought Zanetti's out, and I worked for him there. Then he needed a bigger place, and the Kroger store left Ford City on 9th Street. So we went down there and worked. Then the A&P left Ford Street, and we moved up to there because he thought that was a better location. So I worked for him in 3 or 4 different places in that length of time.
So you remember the Great Depression too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I sure do.
So your parents sent you to live with your uncle, or how did that happen? You said times were hard, so
my uncle needed some help anyhow. So they asked my father if he cared if I worked for him, because I was young.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got started.
So how old were you when you started working?
13. But I didn't do too much then, you know, I just had like a handyman,
Uh-huh.
whatever needed done.
And then he started to teach you.
Yeah, after a couple of years, I probably was about 15 or 16 when I first started in the butcher shop.
So, what did your parents do?
My father was a coal miner.
Uh-huh.
They didn't work too good back then. You know, they'd work a couple days a week, and that's all there was. Things were bad. Things were really bad back in the 30s. Yeah.
So your dad only worked a couple days a week during the
Yeah.
Depression?
Before I went to work, my uncle, he used to take us, me and my sister. We'd pick berries in the summertime, and my mother would can them. My dad had a big garden. My mother would can green beans and tomatoes. Never bought a can of tomatoes or green beans. My mother never bought one can of that stuff in her life. It was all raised in the garden. It's hard work.
Yeah. I bet your mom's vegetables tasted better than what you get in cans.
Oh yeah.
So how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Just a sister,
Just a sister.
that's all.
Did you go to school while you were training with your uncle?
Oh yeah,
Where'd you go?
Ford City. Oh, in North Buffalo I went 8 years to a one-room school
Did you?
in what they call Skin Hall. You know where Skin Hall is?
Yeah, yeah.
They had a one-room school there, and we went 1 through 8th grade there.
Did you? So how did they work that? Did you?
You sat in school while they taught 1st grade, and you sat there while they taught 2nd grade, 3rd grade, all the way through 8th. And that way you learned fast. I mean, you learned a little bit of the 2nd grade while you was still in 1st. And you even 3rd and 4th and 5th grade you learned while they were teaching them. You were there, so you was absorbing part of it.
Right.
Some of them were absorbing.
Yeah. The ones that were paying attention.
Yeah, right. That was good. I think them was better schools than they have today. I honestly think that. Couldn't tell them that today.
No,
I wouldn't
no.
believe you, but
Did the other kids help to teach? I mean, did the 5th graders help the 3rd graders?
no.
It was just a teacher.
Yeah, one teacher. Not 2 or 3 teachers, one. She taught all 8th grade.
And you would get everybody's lessons.
One thing I never forgot was my teacher's name, Mrs. Groves. Because I had her for about 5 or 6 years, and then I had a guy by the name of George Bowser from Center Hill. He came down and taught even after he got out of college. So I learned a lot that way.
And then when you came to Ford Cities, when you went to high school?
Yeah. Yeah, they bused us to Ford City.
Was it a big difference?
Yeah, it was.
Did you?
I liked it though. I never minded school.
Did you play sports or did you not have time?
I didn't have time.
You had a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked after school. I worked in the evenings after school and all day Saturday for $5 a week.
What did you do with the money?
Oh, I saved my money up, bought a bicycle, and bought my stuff that my father couldn't afford to buy for me. Got a pair of skates, ice skates. I did a lot of ice skating.
Did you?
Yeah. That creek over there that runs past where it's the villa now.
Mm-hmm.
That creek used to be high, real high, and it would freeze over. And winters were rough back then, rougher than they are now. This is nothing compared to what it was. We had snow every winter, and every winter clear up to our knees. When I was in grade school, I walked my father's house was the last house down in North Buffalo Township, and then the next lot was Cadogan Township.
Uh-huh.
But I walked a half a mile up to school, half a mile up and a half a mile back, and I even come home for lunch.
Did you?
Yeah, I could come home in about 10 minutes.
Even in the snow?
Yep, oh, yeah.
You walked pretty fast.
I run.
Did you?
Yeah, it was cold. I know we ate a lot of soup.
Did you?
Yeah. My mother and my aunt made their own apple butter. They had a big kettle and they made apple butter every fall. My dad would get apples someplace and bring in, and they made apple butter. But, I'll never forget that. I can still see that. Had a big stir and long handles.
They start early in the morning?
Yeah. Yeah, they started as soon as it was daylight.
How long did it take?
All day. They cooked that out in apples all day. I don't know what all they put in it, but I know they had real good apple butter.
So did you have a cow?
No.
Chickens?
Chickens, yes. Yeah, my mother raised chickens. Not too many. She always tried to keep at least about a dozen laying hens that would lay eggs. And there was a few roosters in them. Every year she'd set hens on eggs, and they'd hatch out. So we always had our own chicken. We always had our own eggs.
And it wasn't a farm. It was just...
Oh, it wasn't a farm.
Yeah.
No, just a little plot of ground. It wasn't even a big plot. It was just a small plot. From where our house was out to the road was probably about 100 feet. And it was about 60 or 75 foot wide. A little bigger than a lot in town. That place over there is so popular now, the villa.
Mm-hmm.
That had a big upstairs on top of it. Same building that's there today, the same foundation. It had a big dance hall up on top.
Really?
People by the name of Dantellas.
Uh-huh.
You ever hear of them?
Uh-huh.
They run that. And they used to have dances there every Saturday night. Mostly square dances.
Did you go?
No, I was too young. But I wouldn't forget the dances because you could hear the music, you know.
So it was mostly square dance music?
Yeah. People over there they all listened to country music.
They still do.
Yeah. My father's house is still over there. It's the first house as you turn up the hall off of the road from the villa there on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
First house.
That was your house?
Yeah, I was born and raised there.
I've always liked that house.
Yeah, it's white now. It was kind of Inselbrick siding when my dad had it. Somebody bought it. I don't even know who bought it.
So you were real close to that creek then?
Oh yeah, yeah, right out in front of the house. I used to ice skate from there, clear down under the river, back up on the river, and up to the pony farm. You know where the pony farm is?
Yeah.
It's a couple mile. By the creek, it's about 2 miles up. Otherwise, it's more than 2 miles if you go on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did a lot of ice skating.
So did the river freeze over too?
Yeah. Almost every year the winter freeze over. We had zero weather back then. In the wintertime it would go to 0 or 5 below, 10 below. That was nothing. It don't look like that anymore.
No, it doesn't. Hardly ever.
No.
So what kind of clothes did you wear to keep warm?
Long underwear.
Aha!
Yeah. Long underwear and heavy shirts and a top. All flannel shirts in the winter on top of another undershirt.
Mm-hmm.
and a heavy coat, and a pair of good gloves, and a hat, cap, mostly tassel caps, because you could fold them up and put them in your pocket. Yep.
What were the coats made out of? Wool?
Wool, I think. I ain't sure. Got a pair of new high-top boots every year in the fall to go to start school with. Come up almost, regular high-top boots.
Uh-huh.
Boys used to wear back then.
So did they wear out by the summer, or did you go barefoot in the summer, or did you just keep wearing them until you got new ones?
Well, they'd pretty wear out in the summertime. Most of the kids run around barefooted all winter, but I couldn't. My feet were too tender. I was light complected and my thin skin and I never liked tennis shoes.
Uh-huh.
So I always wore leather shoes.
We had a lady tell us that she went barefoot all winter.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, most of the kids did back then. It'd start in the spring. School always started the day after Labor Day.
Uh-huh.
And it ended on what they call Memorial Day.
Uh-huh.
That's when school started and ended. Now it's a different day.
Yeah. They start in August and they end in June sometime.
Yeah.
It's good to know. So what did you wear in the summer then?
Oh, you had your clothes, regular summer cut-off shorts. My mother would make a lot of them.
Did she?
Yeah. Or she'd take the long pants that was pretty well worn out. They'd worn in the knees and everything, so she'd cut them off and hem them on the bottom, and you could wear them in the summertime. It'd be short-legged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of things did you like to do in the summer?
Mostly play ball. I was always liked baseball. If I'd have been a little bigger, I'd have played baseball. I tried to play, but I was too small. I never was real big.
Mm-hmm. Did you swim in that creek?
Yeah. If you call it swimming.
Yeah.
Piled stones up and made a dam. We had holes. It was pretty as high as we were. You know, you could dam the water up. Kids all got together. It was nice.
Where'd you dam it up at?
Well, we had, mostly it was up by pretty close to the schoolhouse.
Uh-huh.
They come from all over, we had a school at Center Hill, an 8-room school, 1-room school, and that was 3 miles away. We played in the spring of the year, we'd start playing ball. Our team would play theirs, and we walked up there to play them, 3 mile up and 3 mile back. And then they had one out at they called it number 6, that's out back at Cadogan on the Slate Lake Road.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that's at?
Uh-huh.
Them were the good old days.
So you didn't have much, but you had what you needed.
Yeah, you're right. It was worse for girls, than it was for the boys.
Because they had to help with the canning?
Yeah, they did.
That's a hot job.
Yeah, that's something I never done. I didn't have to help. My sister helped. I'll never forget we had cabbage planted, and cabbage got worms on it. My dad chewed cutty pipe tobacco, smoked cutty pipe tobacco. He bought a package of tobacco and took it out of the package and put it in a bucket and put water on it and let it sit 2 or 3 days. Then he took that water and put it on he killed every bug on them cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that. That's how he got rid of the bugs on the cabbage.
I've heard about that before, how to get rid of them. Did you make sauerkraut?
No, he didn't have too much cabbage planted. Well, he always planted about maybe a dozen heads, and we ate them without canning them.
So where was your family from? Stockdill? English? Where was your family from originally, do you know?
Somewhere in Manor Township. Then there was some of them went up towards, Earl Stockdill lived in Dayton. He was a relative of mine. He had a farm up there, too. The last house up on the old Rural Valley Road before you hit the road that went to Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
The last farm up, or last house up, They lived there for years and years. But the Stockdills in Dayton spelt their name different. They spelled it D-A-L-E on the end. I got a bum knee. I can't walk hardly. I can hardly walk.
Is that from working as a butcher all those years?
Yeah. And I got hearing aids in because I run the meat saw for years and years on cutting the meat with a meat saw, and it made a loud noise. My ears went bad. They didn't go bad while I was working, but they went bad sooner than they should have. And that caused it.
Yeah.
But I was lucky. The vets gave me the hearing aids.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, see, you remembered a lot more things than you thought you were going to, didn't you? And I'm glad that you talked to us about the times before the war.
The Ford City PPG had a place over across the river from there. They called it Sand Plant.
Uh-huh.
They had a church and a schoolhouse and over there, and then the Ford City Glassworks was doing good, and they started a dump over there. They needed a place to get rid of their off-fallings.
Uh-huh.
So they hauled them over there, and people started throwing all kinds of garbage over there.
Mm-hmm.
Ford City Borough hauled their garbage over there for years.
Mm-hmm.
There was no law against it. When I was a kid, just a small kid, I had a wagon. I went over there and collected all the steel and aluminum I could find, and I sold it. A guy come around with a truck every Saturday and bought it. I never forget that. You had to break a whole bushel full for 10 cents. But I managed to get I went everywhere and gathered up all the stuff I could get. And then I hauled my wagon. I couldn't carry it back.
Uh-huh.
Not many people do that today.
No, uh-uh.
Well, that's the way to exist.
Yeah.
They had a doctor up in Cadogan. His name was Nix, Dr. Nix. He's dead now. In the summertime, I had my shoes off and I was walking in the creek out in front of the house there. And there was a broken beer bottle, and it was the point pointed up where it was broke off, you know. And I didn't see it. I stepped on it. It cut my foot all the way around.
Oh.
They took me up to Dr. Nix in Cadogan. He sewed that in his office. It healed up good. Oh, they had stitches, about 20 some of them.
Oh, my.
All around the back of my foot. I don't know if that's the kind of stuff you want to hear.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now they fly you down to Pittsburgh. So did you go to church?
Went to a little church over in Skinwall.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the foot of the hill before you start to go to the Pony Farm Road, you know. They don't use it no more.
Oh.
They built a new church down the road further, about halfway down. But I went to church there in a little one-room church. My mother took me when I was real little. That's about all I have.
Well, thank you so much.
Life was rough back then.
Were you happy?
Yeah. No matter how rough it was, we was happy. When I was real little, from the time I was a baby till I was in my teens, at home I slept in a cord bed. You know what a cord bed is?
Mm-hmm.
Great big high bed, and it had crossboards, and they put straw in there. Every year they took that all out and done away with it and put new stuff in. I slept in the cornbread.
Was it soft?
Oh yeah, real soft. They called that a cord bed.
A cord bed.
Because it was woven back and forth with like a rope about as big as your finger.
Uh-huh.
So they called it a cord bed. You probably never heard of it.
I read a thing about it this morning. You know when they say sleep tight, that they would have to tighten up the cords, and that's why they said sleep tight. I never met anybody who told me that that's the kind of bed that they had. Did you have to tighten up the cords?
My father done that every once in a while. I didn't know nothing about it. He done away with it when I got in my